All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
So, expectedly, predictably, the Nigerian police fired tear gas and some reports say live ammunition and occupied major roads here in Abuja to stop peaceful demonstrations called to protest against the continued detention for more than 7 years of the separatist leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who's on trial facing terrorism charges. In the Abuja city centre, heavily armed police, supported by soldiers in a massive show of force, patrolled with water cannon and armoured trucks, firing volleys of tear gas wherever they saw protesters trying to gather. Mr. Kanu leads the banned Indigenous People of Biafra Movement, or IPOB, a group that advocates for the secession of southeast Nigeria. Mr. Kanu's supporters say his detention in the last decade is politically motivated. They want him released and the 7 counts of terrorism against him, to which Mr. Kanu has pleaded not guilty, quashed.
Nnamdi Kanu was first arrested in October 2015 upon his return from the UK. He was later released on bail in April 2017 on health grounds. Later that year, his trial was disrupted when soldiers invaded his home in Abia State, leading to the deaths of some of his followers. Mr. Kanu subsequently fled the country, but was rearrested in Kenya in June 2021 and extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria. In April 2022, the Federal High Court struck out 8 of the 15 charges against him, citing a lack of merit. Later, in October 2022, the Court of Appeal ordered his immediate release and quashed the remaining charges. However, a year later, the Supreme Court overturned that decision, allowing the federal government to continue his trial on the remaining counts. Mr. Kanu's continued detention has sparked growing public outcry and renewed calls for his release, culminating in today's protest. Rita Osakwe, Arise News.
So, after today's demonstration, will there be more protests or perhaps a protest epiphany? A eureka moment that will lead to Mr. Kanu's release. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the main organizer of today's Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, the political activist and former presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore. And I'm also joined by the public affairs analyst, Mazi Nnamdi Dixon Iregu, who is both a member of the People's Democratic Party and an obedient, and who took part in today's demonstration. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
You look a bit red-eyed there. I wonder why.
Well, it's been a lot of tear gas inhalation today and a lot of attacks by the Nigerian police. So I haven't done anything else today than just protest. And we also ended up at the FCT command of Nigerian police to get some of the lawyers, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's main lawyer was arrested, and lawyer Jima, because his younger brother was arrested, and 11 others. We went to see them, and they gave us a hope, false hope, that they'll be released tonight. But we found out on our way here that they'll be moved to the place they call Abattoir, which is one of the reasons why there was NSAS in 2020. It's a major torture chamber of the Nigerian police. So they also tear gassed us right in front of their office this evening.
So, more than 7 years in detention, almost a decade in fact, and he's still not been found guilty of any crime. And your contention is that, in line with the Nigerian constitution, which says that a man is innocent until proven guilty and which calls for the speedy dispensation of justice, it's time to set this captive free. Is that a fair assessment and the reason you led today's protest?
Yes, it is because also the Court of Appeal in 2022 did take a decision, a decisive decision, that having been extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya, kidnapped is the other word for it, there are no charges that can hold in that court, and he was asked to be released. That judgment ought to have taken effect immediately was given. But the Nigerian government did not honor that judgment. They claimed they were going on appeal an appeal does not constitute a stay when personal liberty is involved. He's been discharged. There's nothing that could have held him except to get a brand new detention order, which they didn't, because they were not interested in any trial. They were interested in subduing and subjugating Nnamdi Kanu for committing a crime against the real estate called Nigeria, which is to say, look, we may want to think about our own country, considering that this country have no respect for our dignity, our culture, and our safety. So I have laid this out before, and I have also looked at the case notes. I worked with the lawyers. I am in a position to tell you when I see a useless case, because I get charged severally for this kind of frivolous cases. Nnamdi Kanu is not being held for committing terrorism. No, he's being held because he is an Igbo man who wants Nigeria to either allow justice to the Igbo man or let the Igbo man be. That is the crime Nnamdi Kanu committed. It's a crime committed with a microphone, not an AK-47.
Right. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, but Mazi Dixon, I wonder what your reaction, because you kind of lost your voice.
Yes,
there.
I did.
I wonder what your reaction is to the fact that the march that you attended was tumbled, let me put it that way, by the police. They fired tear gas to disperse the protesters, and you apparently fell victim to that show of force and to that tear gas. And clearly, I wonder whether that cast a shadow on things for you, how much it did cast a shadow.
Charles, please permit me, first of all, to commend my brother here, Showore. I was born 7 years after the Civil War. And for the first time in my adult life, I felt loved as an Igbo man by other Nigerians. Another Nigerian took it upon himself to say enough of this balkanization of fatherland.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, isn't it?
But that's what it is.
Igbos are across the country doing business and attending to their affairs.
That is earned by merit. I'm talking about someone sacrificing his own liberty to say there's a brother in there, because an injury to one should be an injury to all. If we are to build our country, then indeed we must have that understanding that together we should, not by letting some people out of this whole process. So, my brother Showore, thank you. Thank you for showing love to a fellow countryman, because it's difficult. Look at what Nigerians are going through.
But to be fair to Showore, he's shown that same love to
no. I'm talking for myself as an Igbo man. Okay. Because the case here is that Nnamdi Kanu being incarcerated today is simply because he comes from that part of Nigeria. Because what's his crime? It's not just about, oh, you're not treating my people fine or not treating my people well. It's also about, this is not how to build a nation. So if we can't build this nation the way it should be, then please, we can't stay here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you think there's something wrong with it, call him to the table and discuss what are the issues. Okay, if you're not comfortable, what can we do better to ensure that some of those grounds of yours can be addressed and all that. So sincerely, today again, being that it was peaceful, because it was well declared by the convener of this very protest that it is a peaceful protest, and it was peaceful. But go around Abuja, if this was how the Nigerian police force was tackling insecurity in our country, we won't be here. We won't be discussing insecurity in Nigeria. Nobody could move. We just assembled, and before you knew it, they started, not just tear gas, live bullets were released. Not just at one location, even when we now said, okay, since you have stopped us from convening around this so-called big men area, we're moving to the people. We moved from there to Beggar, roundabout, and then from there we moved to, they came there and moved us to Otako. They still came that way, tear gassed and all of that, and then moved also to Apo and all that. You now wonder, what is it that the Nigerian government really wants from the Nigerian people?
Right.
For us to be violent? Is it because we decided to be peaceful? Right. So indeed, it's unfortunate that this is the country that we found ourselves. but it cannot continue this way.
Well, Mr. Shore, let me come back to you. The protests obviously gained a lot of traction on social media. You're very influential on social media and beyond. And it probably alarmed the government, especially after the US Embassy cautioned its citizens to stay away from the protest locations in Abuja. Were you surprised that your call for a protest gained as many followers as quickly as it did?
Well, it wasn't only on social media. It happened everywhere around Abuja. We had 6 spots where we had thousands of people converge in march. We were at Utako, we were at Apple, which has the largest crowd.
Turnout, yeah.
We were at Gudu, and we then relocated to the FCT command where we were tear gas, but we were attacked ruthlessly everywhere we went. What these people are telling you is that you cannot be a peaceful person in Nigeria and get away with it.
Yeah.
You can only be violent and get away with it. Because if we were terrorists or bandits, as they call them, we could have been walking around Abuja today with ammunition and nobody would come near us. But fortunately or unfortunately, people like me have chosen a non-violent approach to resolving issues. But that doesn't mean that a generation is not coming that will not accept this nonsense.